Oh God. So also, if anybody has recommendations for new hosts, we'll be taking resumes over at Niisan Podcast at gmail.com. Send in your resumes. My brain is already spent from having argued about our today's topic for 2 hours. Anyways, welcome to a very special episode that we have argued over already pre-recording for 2 hours of another episode of the Niisan Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, otherwise known as Xell, and with me
is none other than the best taste in the West, also known as Crim, the Asian Avenger. And
don't you dare even try to fusion with me this time. I'm not about it.
We were actively
it's over.
Over.
It's over. I don't want any part of it.
Okay, you're right. I understand. How about this? We just do a high five. There it is. We are the Niisan Podcast. Yeah. All right. Leaving me hanging. Cool.
Anyways, so to give you guys context on what was happening. So today's episode is about our recommendations, because we got a comment on one of our previous episodes. We got a comment asking, hey, like, if you have a friend who's not into anime but is looking to get into it, like, what are the animes that you would recommend to them? So essentially, anime for normies.
Normies.
And so me and Crim set aside our own lists, and we talked about it before recording, and we were like, okay, like, this is my list, this is your list. And we had like 4 that were in common that were like, okay, yeah, nailed it, we did it.
Yeah.
Those last 6 slots took us 2 hours to get to. Just to give you guys some reference here, we're supposed to film our podcasts on like Monday nights at 10 p.m. It is now midnight.
We are starting at midnight. Correct.
We're starting at midnight because we could not agree on this list. So this one is our now just our accepted list, and we've made a lot of compromises. I think our friendship has been tested more than a Monopoly game. But this is the list that we have reluctantly agreed upon. Now we're here. So I'm exhausted. I'm spent, but the blood, sweat, and tears went into this list.
Lots of tears.
Just want everyone to
between both of us. So,
God, okay.
So why don't we just get
going? I guess
into it. So, I think we should go over the criteria of why we chose some of these animes, though, right? So first thing is, we wanted to go over these animes. We wanted to pick animes that you didn't really have to do a lot of explaining to your friends to get into, right? This was just an anime that I could just tell you, hey, watch it. You watch it. It's cool, right? I don't need to be like, oh, but you also need to know what the weather is outside, and also all of that stuff. So that's how we kind of came together, if you want to say together, for most of this list. We're going to start with some honorable mentions. But before we do that, I also want to say that we chose to purposely leave out some of the movies, because I often, like every time you see these lists, and it's often like, Spirited Away, which are all good movies. Please, I at least, I don't know about you, Xell, but I can't speak for you, but I love these movies, and
I love it too.
Look,
don't worry,
okay?
We don't have to fight about this too.
After today, I don't know. Okay, so. So we wanted to go with just mostly shows, right? Not movies. And so that's how this whole list came to be. And so
because like movies, like you said, like I feel like it's the same stuff. Like Studio Ghibli, sure, like Your Name, Koe no Kata. Like I feel like the movies are pretty well known. Mm-hmm. And like I think the shows are really different. So yeah.
And so why don't we start with you, Xell? What is your honorable mention that did not make it onto this official
My honorable
list?
mention. Okay, so man, well, I feel like I have to talk through our list. What if we did honorable mentions at I feel like because some of the anime that I have here in my honorable mentions, I feel like I would spoil the list, So
Okay. Yeah, seems good. Why don't we do that then at the end, and you can find out some of my honorable mentions there too. So why don't we start off just right off the bat? What do we have first on our list?
All right. First one
came together for.
Just getting out of the way, and this was one that we came together this was one of the ones that we both agreed on easily. There was no arguing, there was no fist fighting. Cowboy Bebop. Cowboy Bebop is an oldie but an eternally goodie. It's a 97 anime about some good old space cowboys. It's basically a western but set in sci-fi space, and it follows the story of Spike Spiegel, who is a bounty hunter, and kind of the shenanigans that he gets up to in space. It's I say shenanigans. It's not really like a slapstick comedy by any means, but it's really? Pretty serious actually.
I think we watched a different Cowboy Bebop.
I think I watched Cowboy Bebop.
The off-brand.
Yeah, the off-brand one with Spoke Spogel. I really love Foy Valentine. I don't know. Anyways, but yeah, the show is oh god, it's so stylish. The animation still holds up even in today's standards, and I think part of the reason we both love it is it's just episodic. It's very much a Western themed show. I think in terms of portrayal and how the plot works and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why it's so easy to recommend this. This is probably the one you hear everybody recommend the most, right? Because it is it's like a direct port over to just Western culture and cinema and all of that. All of that stuff. It's represented here, and it's very easy to digest. The concepts, everything that's brought up. It's just a bounty hunter and his crew of ragtag other bounty hunters, right? And an adorable dog. But yes, so I think that's why I always love recommending this show, because it's not like you need to know anything more than just that. And with actually there's a lot of shows that kind of already existed like that in the mainstream media. I'm not going to say they're a direct one-to-one, but they do share some similarities, but for I don't know, Firefly, Mandalorian, stuff like that. Whatever. But yeah, so there's just a lot there that you can just watch, and it's easy to digest, and just mostly the concepts, once again, are just fun to watch with friends. You don't have to sit there, turn on your put on your thinking cap and do all of this. This is just good to kick back with friends and watch.
Yep. Yeah, it's funny when you said the description for it, I was kind of it's like Guardians of the Galaxy, because it follows a bounty hunter. Yeah. But everybody's pretty competent. So
there are no Star-Lords. So yeah,
if Star-Lord was a competent bounty hunter with a dark and secret past,
that would be Spike Spiegel. So I think, and this is just I don't know, it's so perfect. Every character, Spike is such a cool character. So I think you'll learn to enjoy the main character, because first off, there's a lot of main characters in anime that kind of are whiny. I'm not going to name any characters, but just a lot of that's a lot of the problems that I've had with a good amount of the main characters of a majority of shows. So seeing somebody that's so calm and collected is sweet, and you're gonna learn to see that and appreciate that when you watch the show.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say. I think Cowboy Bebop is one of those ones that I think for a lot of people is top lists of beginner anime. Moving on to the next one, which is another one that I think is generally recommended to everybody, is Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. Fullmetal Alchemist in general is just a show that kind of has it all in some ways, where it's it's a fantasy setting, it's got good characters, there's a war conflict, there's drama, there's romance, there's comedy, there's everything, everything. And they just nail it. I mean, Fullmetal Alchemist in some ways is just it's been for years one of the highest rated shows of all time, and for pretty good reason. And I think Fullmetal Alchemist just it's like I said, it just kind of has everything, and so it's one of those ones that I can always blind recommend, because it's not about what genres you're into or whatever. It's just the whole thing is just really amazing, and I don't know. I think this one's a freebie. This is if we had a bingo sheet for this stuff, this would be the second center. Somehow it shares it with Cowboy Bebop.
Every anime list will always have these two, and I feel like they're staples, they're pillars of anime, just to recommend to friends. But for those that are at home right now and listening or watching, how would you describe the show to them at home? Like in a quick 2-sentence synopsis.
Oh God, is this a? Oh God, I'm put on the spot. 2 sentences?
That's all you got.
Oh God, is this like an AP US history DBQ? That's what it feels like.
Pop quiz.
Okay, 2 sentences. Basically, it's about a pair of brothers who learn the secrets of alchemy to try to bring back their dead mother, but in fact end up losing a lot more than they, end up chewing more than they could bite off, more than they could chew. How many sentences am I at?
you actually have to put a period, right? You can't just
just keep ongoing sentence, run-on sentence, I think it's called. Yep. Okay, so yeah, it's basically a pair of brothers who learn alchemy to bring back their dead mother, but it ends up going horribly wrong, and this is their journey to make things right again. And through that journey, they go through a lot of stuff.
Cut. You got it.
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
okay. I went wrong.
You got it. I think that would be the perfect way to describe it, though. Like, legitimately, I think you've got exactly what it is about. And they're just going to try to undo anything that comes along with their alchemy.
And let's just say there's a lot of things that come with alchemy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
I think yeah, like that's the best way we could probably describe it without, going in depth, giving you every spoiler. And we're going to give you the quick basic rundown on it because we really just don't want to spoil anything at all. And I think it's very easy for us to spoil something like this. So
also, if you're the one recommending your normie friend anime, we're presenting this in a way that you could even show us this podcast to them.
Yeah.
So if you want to share it, we're on YouTube. We're on Spotify. You can share the link to your normie friend and get them in to Nii-San Podcast. Boom. Did you guys know that this was a mid-roll ad?
Yeah.
You can't press the skip ad button. This is just built in, baby. Okay, anyways.
Let's see YouTube get around this one.
But yeah, Fullmetal Alchemist is great. Oh God, I'm so loopy, man. I'm literally 2 hours.
No, that was a good ad. I like that.
Okay, I guess we'll move on to the next one.
Raid Shadow Legend. Oh no.
Wait a second.
Wait. So
all right, number 3. This is a. Are you okay, Crim?
Yeah.
Are you hanging in there?
We're good.
I'm telling you, the conversations that were held before we got filming was I'm almost sad that we weren't just recording that entire time, like the podcast, to figure out what we were going to podcast about, because it was intense and a lot of furrowed brows and disagreements and a lot of oh my God, really?
A lot of scoffing,
a lot of judgment.
Lots of daggers thrown once again.
Yeah, lots of daggers.
But we did get a decent amount of things we agreed upon, kind of. So the next one, the next one, I think.
The next one, yes, right? The next one is also one that we agreed upon. It was in our initial list. Is Violet Evergarden. Violet Evergarden is one. It's different than the other two because this one's a very classic tearjerker anime. The story is basically about this teenager who is sent off to war, who only knows about war, and suddenly post-war she loses her hands in an accident, and she's trying to make her way in their post-war, and she lands a job where she types up the stories of people around her. And so it's the story about this girl who's basically, only knew about war, and so she's not really well adjusted, and so it's all about her trying to understand humanity again. Very classic, I think, story about post trauma essentially, and also the animation. What really sets apart Violet Evergarden, I think, is just the animation. The animation is just phenomenal. In some ways, I feel like there just isn't a studio that just does it like this. I mean, some of these scenes are just so breathtakingly beautiful, and
even the scenes where they have the the glistening on the water, and it's just I don't know if you can get the countryside as she's coming up, there's just so many things in this show that are so well animated that it's unbelievable. It's probably some of the best animation I've ever seen in all of anime. So Like,
yeah, it stands out because of that. And then not only that, it's like, oh, okay, in the story, there's some stuff that's like really hard hitting, and I guarantee you will cry by the end of the show. At one point or another, you will cry.
I had gotten so used to crying in the show that I remember I watched the next episode, and it was just at the beginning, and nothing happened. I just started crying because it was like I knew that I was going into another episode, and I'm probably going to be sad again. So I'm going to try to get these tears out now so I can see it later, because it's legitimately moving though. Like, and she's got like. You just feel like you feel for her. You want to cheer for her to like understand, you know, like without spoiling anything. I think this is where I got to skirt around the spoilers. But yeah, you just want to see her become human, and you root for her so hard, and like what she's looking for and her like goal. And it's just, I don't know, the stories you find along the way that she kind of like writes, it's just absolutely beautiful. And I don't know, she has to, the one thing that she does about these, by the way, these letters that she's writing out and sending to people, is she has to add her twist on it to make it sound elegant and beautiful and all of that. And for her to do that, she has to understand emotion and human emotion and all of that. And she's a very monotone person. So I think you'll just see it when you see it, but this is one of those ones where you have to be in a mood, because it's not like going to be, you know, a bunch of people punching each other through mountains or anything like that. There's not a bunch of action. This is just all character dialogue development, all of that all day long with the most beautiful animation. So there's a little bit of a war here and there, but that's not the main focus, right? So you're not going to see that. You're going to see mostly just her and the character she interacts with. So.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. And I think what is kind of interesting is because she's such like a husk of a human being, seeing the dichotomy between her and some of these other people is like really interesting. And I think that's where the show really shines, is like understanding like where her humanity comes back.
Yep.
So yeah, anyways, that's Violet Evergarden. Okay. So now we're on the fourth show, and this was the last show that we agreed on. So after this is a Battlefield. But this one, I think it's kind of a gimme in some ways too, especially in recent events. Demon Slayer. I mean, Demon Slayer, I feel like anybody who's trying to get into anime these days, I just feel like it would be a huge disservice to not know what the biggest anime of like right now of all time, really. Like, it's crushing records everywhere. Demon Slayer. It's just wow. And so, you know, the thing is, like, I think a lot of people who are adjacent to anime but, you know, don't watch it, when they think of anime, they think of like Dragon Ball Z, and they're like, oh yeah, like I remember Dragon Ball Z. They, you know, sat around punching things for a long time and then talking and standing around and you know, yelling in place for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, Demon Slayer is kind of like the new school, right? The new school of what Dragon Ball Z is evolved into, right? Like, this is the Super Saiyan beyond Super Saiyan beyond Super Saiyan. And Demon Slayer takes this kind of the similar formula, but now you'll see it in like the modern format. Demon Slayer is just
great, by the way, because you see where it gets around the mistakes of like old shonen or like battle anime, like the charging for 10 hours and yelling at each other. So
yeah, I mean, Demon Slayer just gets into it, you know. It starts you off with well, actually, I don't want to spoil things again. I had to catch myself, but essentially it's about some crazy strong people with swords, and they do crazy stuff, and they fight demons, they slay demons, and it's specifically the main character is after the king demon.
What are we, simple. A bunch of demon slayers or something?
Yeah, in a show called Demon Slayer? No way. You don't watch the show because you're like enveloped in like the plot or whatever. You watch it because the spectacle of it. They're really, I mean, I can't understate how beautiful this show is. Like the character designs, the setting, the things that they fight, but the animation as well. Kind of like Violet Evergarden, Demon Slayer, I think also hit really like maybe some of the highest highs for action anime. And so Demon Slayer is like the one where you just watch, you're like chucking a beer and you're just, you know, you're just in the moment and watching it, and like by the end of it you're like, I want to punch a wall or fight a bear or something, you know. So Demon Slayer, super good, and also the music is excellent, and if you're on TikTok, you've definitely heard the song Gurenge by Lisa, and that's the opening from the show. So if they don't know Demon Slayer, they might actually know Gurenge. I don't know.
I know that Brendan Urie, the singer of Panic at the Disco, commented on the song because the vocals of Lisa are were killer. So and he was like, yeah, it has like elements of like Haley from Paramore and stuff like that too. So but yeah, like so the thing about I think Demon Slayer that also makes it stand out as opposed to some of the shows from before. The main character is actually he's really sweet. Like he's genuinely sweet, and he doesn't spend every episode crying. So because there was a period where it was cool to just have the whiny main character, right? Like that was a lot of animes, but like Demon Slayer gets around that, and you get to see how he's just sweet because essentially, without spoiling anything, before he does anything, he kills anybody, he does any of that, he really humanizes them and gets to know them. And I think that's just kind of like it's just an endearing way. It's like respectful to his opponents. Like he respects every opponent that he has, every demon that he runs into. And of course, you'll see other people along the way, and they're different, like the way they handle things. But I think that's why Tanjiro is such a lovable character. You can call him whatever you want, Green Naruto, whatever. But the thing here is Aqua Teal. I don't know. The show is actually anchored by such a sweet character. And why he's in the situation that he's in. So you'll see that when you watch the show. But at this point now, there's probably no way that you've been able to escape Demon Slayer. That's the thing. If people are talking about anime, they're talking about Demon Slayer. Even normies know Demon Slayer. So, but if they don't, this is definitely your chance to get them into it because it's perfect. It's perfect. I know that it's become the thing to kind of like bag on the show a little bit, but I think I still love Demon Slayer, and I cannot wait to see what it continues to bring.
Yeah, anime snobs will be like, Demon Slayer, it's so popular. Except it's still pretty damn good, it won, I think the year that it was airing, like it won Anime of the Year, and I remember right? And like some anime snobs like, oh god, Demon Slayer, what? But honestly, I was like, what? It's out of all the anime to have won, like that one is not that offensive to me. So Demon Slayer, great, pretty awesome anime all around, and it's also really kind of dark. So like kind of to touch on like what you said about the main character, he's really, really cheerful and always wants to see the best in things in a world that is really dark and kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what's also interesting about it, because like I think a lot of battle shonens tend to have like very light, it's like almost bubbly lightheartedness in a lot of it, but like Demon Slayer starts you off in a pretty dark place right off the bat, and so and it really does color the story a little bit, and that's why the main character feels like such a like breath of fresh air. Because
you'll get that when you watch it.
But yeah, he just is like the light at the end of the tunnel a lot for this like sort of like hopeless scenarios. So yeah, Demon Slayer is great. So that's Demon Slayer. All right, now we get into contested territory. Oh baby. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Like, let us clarify here. These ones, it's not that all of them were like we thought they were bad or anything. I just think there were some that might have been better or more deserving of the spot. So, but it doesn't mean that we think every one of these are bad.
Because like we tried to like stretch across different genres, and then we started like nitpicking genres and then we like it was just impossible. Like choosing just 10 was actually incredibly hard, and it's just hard. So 5 I think was one. This 5th one is one that we were pretty easy to agree on, though, actually, all things considered, is One Punch Man. One Punch Man, specifically season 1, because season 2 was animated by a different studio, but specifically season 1, One Punch Man. God, it's so good. It's weird because I generally, when I think of things that I want to recommend to people, I usually try to stay away from satire a little bit, because like, you have to know what the satire is of. Yeah. But in One Punch Man's case, I feel like because we know what superheroes are generally. Like superheroes is like a very Western concept at this point too, and One Punch Man is in that universe. Like I don't think it takes that much to understand what One Punch Man is satiring. But essentially the plot of it is, as the title says, it's about a guy who can beat anything in one punch. And that might sound crazy to you. Like, how the heck do you make a series about a guy who kills everything in one punch? Well, this show does it, and does it again and again and again. And for some reason, you won't be over it by the end of it. It's just really funny how far they can carry this concept.
It's just because like the main character, Saitama, is just so normal, right? And he's so normal and it's hilarious. It's just funny, right? It's like, I look at it more as a comedy than anything else. So I mean, like, you could call it an action because it does have a lot of action sequences, but I view this as just a full on comedy. And it's all on the back of Saitama, the main character. Everything around Saitama is just hilarious because of Saitama. And it's just like his basic like facial expressions are drawn funny. Everything about the show is perfect in that way. And I think it's also a simple enough concept to where you can tell your friend, and you know, they'll just like, wait, what? That's it? That's all he has to do? And then once they watch it, and you know, the curiosity kicks in, like, wait, how does a show work if everybody just loses instantly? That's when they fall in love. They find the charm with Saitama, and they just keep watching. And then all of a sudden it's done, and you're like, what happened?
Yeah. And on top of that, I think what sets apart One Punch Man, again, I think the animation is beautiful. I think that's going to be a common theme here, is like, I think all the shows that we picked are very generally pretty. But the show also has a lot of very heartful, meaningful moments as well, which is, again, surprising because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But you'll also get some feels during the show too. So
yeah.
I think One Punch Man sort of embodies like a lot of different aspects, and they put it together in a really cohesive way, considering what the show is really about. And so yeah, I don't know. This one's just good, dumb fun, and I think pretty much anybody will enjoy the show.
Agreed. I'm just thinking of like all like the show and every scene and all of his ridiculous moves that he yells when he does his stuff. It's just like, that show's so funny. Dude. Like I love One Punch Man. That is such a funny show.
One Punch Man season 1 is like one of my favorite anime. It is just so funny, and man, some of the action sequences are just beautiful. I watch some of the fights over and over again. Okay, let's keep on trucking along here. Okay, so this next one, we decided that, hey, look, sports anime is a pretty big thing, so we might as well throw a sports anime in. Haikyuu. Haikyuu is kind of like today's premier sports anime. There really hasn't been that many other sports anime that's had the raw popularity that Haikyuu has had. Haikyuu is literally about this little short kid who joins a high school volleyball team, and it's his journey and the team's journey. And I think one of the things that sets Haikyuu apart from some of the other sports anime that's out there is that it's far more grounded. You know, like I think of other anime like Prince of Tennis comes to mind, or Kuroko no Basket. Like the powers that the players get pretty ridiculous really fast. Like Kuroko no Basket, the guy literally disappears because you can't sense his presence anymore. Or like Prince of Tennis, there's a person who can literally hit the ball so hard that it breaks your racket if you try to return it. You know, or like has a serve that doesn't bounce. You know, like there's so much like ridiculousness of it. Whereas like Haikyuu is just it's way more grounded. Like the most ridiculous thing in the show is that the like 5'3" kid can jump and spike a ball. That's like the craziest thing about it. And throughout it, I think what also makes it special too is that it's not just about the main character. It's about the whole team putting all their effort in. And so I think one of the reasons why so many people love Haikyuu is that there's just kind of like a character who embodies everyone. And for anybody who loves competition and stuff, there's probably a character who kind of, you might be like, you might find relatable, I guess. And I don't know. And I think like the hallmark of a good sports anime is that like it kind of like makes you want to go play that sport. Yeah. And it's funny because Haikyuu, I think the data show that after Haikyuu started airing, volleyball became way more popular in Japan.
That's good though, right? Because it motivated people to do, like something to go out and just play volleyball. And I think for those that are at home too, it's like, wait, so a sports anime is just about, the sport, right? But I think the best sports animes aren't actually just about the volleyball or whatever the sport is. It's actually about the characters and the, like, as you know, Xell had mentioned, the team and how they develop. You see their teamwork. They really do a good job with the showmanship to show you how like you know, the team bonds better, you know, and like how this training arc really got them to like be on the same page. And like I think it's a journey where you just watch somebody just get good at something, and that's an everyday thing. And I think that's why it's so inspirational and it's so fun, and that's why people love sports animes. So when I was first told about sports anime, I'm like, why would I just watch someone play basketball when I could watch basketball, or you know what I mean, or something like that, right? So like that's my thing, and it's so much bigger than the sport. It's the cast. And sports animes do it the best. And it's weird because sports animes also have really good animation. Like you would think that it's just like, oh, well, whatever. I mean, but they have killer animation, and on top of that, the cast is just really well written.
Yeah. So yeah, there's Haikyuu. I just don't think there's that many sports anime that hold up, I think, to Haikyuu. Okay.
Initial D.
Here we go.
Initial D.
Initial D.
Yo.
Is racing a sport? I guess it is a sport.
Initial D is a sports anime. And on top of that, it has the best soundtrack.
Well, I guess if you're really into 80s dance pop.
Eurobeat, dude. It's all Eurobeat. You know, you got to drift down the mountain. You can't be drifting down the mountain to some like pop music. You got to have Running in the 90s. All the meme songs that are memes now were legends, okay?
Welcome to the night.
Gas.
I don't know if Initial D is on my list for top 10.
He just see, it was ahead of its time. I don't think Xell understands.
Ahead of its time, yeah.
Yo, Initial D is the best. Okay, it's the best. Like, what do you think Fast and Furious came from? All right, whatever. Anyways.
Well, if Initial D is so good, why isn't there an Initial E? Okay, so.
Oh my god! Can we edit that? Is that editable out? I don't want to offend our listeners after that one.
That was terrible. Okay. Okay. So, all right. This next show is kind of an interesting one, mainly because the second season just pretend it doesn't exist. Promised Neverland season 1. The Promised Neverland, I think, was our sort of choice for one of the best like thriller anime that's come out. And so if you're somebody who likes psychological thriller, Promised Neverland is your jam, I think. This show is basically about kids who live essentially on an organ farm, and they are trying to figure out their way out, essentially. And they're really smart, and it's basically a cat and mouse game between like the establishment and the kids. And it's oh god, the amount of tension that they build in the show, and it's just, yeah, I don't know. It's one of those shows that I think is just like really well written in season 1. Let me just repeat that one more time. In season 1, there is no season 2. There is no season 2.
It ended after 12 or so episodes.
It ended after season 1. Okay. Now that we are on the same page. But yeah, I Promised Neverland season 1 was one that like wowed, I think, everybody who watched it. And yeah, I don't know.
It was definitely one of the ones I really liked from that season. Now, now as we had mentioned it, it's like we had a list, and I was like, I felt like there were some other animes that could have been held over this. But yeah, season 1 of The Promised Neverland was good. It was good. It was good. It was good. It's good.
We'll get into it after, because I want to hear what anime you would have put over Promised Neverland season 1. I'm so curious. Time to judge publicly here. Yes. Alrighty.
Okay. Promised Neverland had the charm of like, also like the kids were just adorable, and it was so cool. Like, seeing, one of the main characters you'll get to meet right off the bat is Emma. That's not a spoiler or anything like that. That's not a hidden character. You'll meet Emma. She's great. She's like got the spirit, the drive and all of that. You can just tell from the first episode, she is the leader of the group. And you really do learn to appreciate that. Just, and on top of that, there's like the cast around, like I could not imagine a show that has like, it has so many characters on its side, and all of them are just so lovable. And I think that's a huge thing for me, because a lot of shows, like the one thing I look for is like the supporting cast. The main character is important. I know that we stopped caring about main characters, because usually now main characters just feel like this vanilla like plot, like this like device that just moves the plot along, right? Like a Luke Skywalker kind of situation. But I care about the character, and just as much as I care about the character, I think the shows need to have like a Han Solo and all this other stuff around them, right? Or else the show gets really boring. And this show does that. And on top of that, the main villain, you don't really know anything about. Like at this time, it's like, are they a villain or are they not? I don't know. I love the way everything was written in this show.
Yeah. I think as much as possible, go into it with like little expectation and just experience it. I think the first season's a pretty wild experience to just go through, and yeah, I don't know. I'm curious what anime you put over this one, but okay, well we'll get into it later. We'll get into it
thrillers. We'll get into it later.
Okay. Number 8, we have the show Erased. Erased is man, it's been some time since I've watched it, but essentially it's a story about this guy who travels back into the past in order to find more about I forget exactly what happens. Wait, do you want to explain this one? I like actually kind of forgot.
Okay. So with Erased, it's pretty much going to be he goes back right in time to try to like alter the timeline, essentially, because like I don't want to spoil anything, right? Like let's read the direct synopsis. But the thing here is, it's pretty much that he goes back and the character wants to save this childhood friend, and so he has to go back in time to make sure that they don't die in the future. And that's the general thing without spoiling it, because it's a mystery show that if we talk about too much, it kind of gives it away entirely.
Yeah, I was kind of confused. Like, I didn't want to like spoil something by accident there, but I think what sets this show apart is just the mystery, the thrill, the psychological thriller aspect of it, and the sort of groundedness that this has. I think like when a lot of people get into anime, they get turned off by sort of like the anime things, like ooh, like all the sound effects that people make when anime people do anything at all. Yeah. Erased is like far more like grounded in my opinion, and it feels more in some ways like realistic, I guess. I don't know how to put it, but it doesn't feel like it's very anime-y in that sense, and it just feels like a good thriller that you want to continue to watch and see the mystery unfold.
The characters aren't over the top, right? They're just not. They're just not like absurd characters that are almost like memes within a meme, right? Like they're very real, down to earth characters, and I think that's the big part of it, with a concept that is actually really, really cool, right? I mean, the ability to go back and like how seeing how the main character undoes the future or tries to correct the future gets better and better and better. And there's heartfelt moments. There's some seriously heartstring tugging moments. And then there's the really great happy moments. And I mean, personally, I'd love to hear, I'm sure we both want to hear how you feel about it when you get to the end. And that's always going to be the biggest thing with every one of these mystery animes. So when you recommend a mystery anime, it's always a little difficult because endings are rough in anime. And
well, I mean, you got to introduce that part of anime too, right?
Right. I guess so. It's like you got to let them know. But I would say that this is a fun ride beginning to end for them, like for the show. And I think you'll really like it. And anybody you recommend this to can appreciate it, because that's all you need to tell them. It's just that's the concept. It's not like, they're going back and like fighting 1,000 robots, and you also need to watch 19 other series. So it's just, here it is. He's going back and he's going to try to undo the timeline. And yeah, it's a sweet show.
Yeah, I think one of the things too, kind of what you just mentioned there, is that what sets us apart too from some of the other shows that we put on our list is like, I could see like very potentially a live action of this and it being just totally normal, the story just works in a non-anime world. And I think that's the kind of groundedness that I think would appeal, I think, to a lot of people. Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing. It's not, it still is an easily digestible concept. So,
yeah. Okay. Next one. So, this one's a little bit of a change of pace again. We wanted to try to stick a romance-ish anime in there, so we chose Your Lie in April. Your Lie in April is a story about. Basically, it's about the main character is basically this pianist who loses his ability to play piano through the trauma of having basically an overbearing parent. And he meets this girl who is so lively and so full of life, and she plays the violin, that he gets kind of strung along and learns to love music again, and through her. And this story is. God, it's just, it's beautiful. And I don't want to spoil. I don't want to say anything really about it, except that it's just a journey about like finding your passion again. And I think that's like a very relatable thing. And, you know, in with it is like kind of like a high school romance, a little bit built into it. And so this one is, again, a lot more grounded than say like One Punch Man, where they're like fighting through meteors on outer space or whatever. Like this is just about two high schoolers who, you know, are musicians and they love their passion and they're trying to find it again. And, I don't know. It's, this one's just a good one, but yeah.
It really touches on concepts that are just, you know, like kind of pretty timeless, right? And for all ages, you know, we all lose our passions along the way. And I think you kind of just see the main character, like, you know, like fall out of love with something and then find his way back in love with it. And I think it's such a wonderful show. It's such a beautifully written show, and I cannot go into it because it is great, and I'm not going to say anything else because I feel like if I do anything else, I'm going to spoil it. This show has probably been recommended to you by others too, and this is not going to be any kind of like, once again, like much like Xell had mentioned, it's going to be way more grounded. So look for a lot more story and just enjoy the great dynamics between the main character and, you know, the girl that he meets, and like just, oh God, it's so good. It's so sweet.
I don't know. This is definitely one of those shows I wish I could talk a little bit more about the plot and stuff, but you really, again, just have to experience it. And if you're new to anime, like, this is a great way to get into it. And I think especially bonus points if you grew up playing an instrument, because like, at least like personally speaking, as somebody who played violin growing up and had like pretty like overbearing parents and stuff, like I related so hardcore with the main character. So if you're just somebody who loves music or plays music or whatever, I think you'll doubly appreciate Your Lie in April. And even if you don't, I think you'll still love it. But like, I think it just kind of doubles up for musicians.
But if you do, it hits. Like
hits. It hits.
Like, because I mean, like, as also someone who plays guitar, there was a point where I put it down, and I just kind of was like, you know, I didn't want to do it, right? I was like, am I good enough? Yeah, all this other stuff and the constant, you know, like insecurities of it, and then actually watching the show, it's just like I was right there. It was exactly at that moment when I watched. It's like, yo, am I good enough though? Should I pick it back up again? And it's just, if you do play an instrument, you'll feel it. You'll feel the show.
Yeah. Your Lie in April is very, very good. Okay. So we got to number 10 here after 2 hours of debate.
Yes.
And we just kind of said, screw it. We're just going to put this one down because we both love the show. But we didn't actually have like a good way. Because we were talking, okay, we'll get into this later because I kind of wanted to talk about our process of finding our top 10. But our 10th anime is Jujutsu Kaisen. And Jujutsu Kaisen is recent, and it is just, you know, we talked about Demon Slayer, and I think one of the reasons why we're hesitant to throw it on there too is because like Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen both overlap in a lot of ways. They're both kind of darker tone shows with the main character who's like very, you know, like lively and whatever. And they're both about like people doing crazy magical stuff with things, you know, and I feel like there's a lot similar. But what really sets apart Jujutsu Kaisen for me is the character interactions. I think more so than like Demon Slayers and any anime that's previously been out there that's kind of in the same genre. Jujutsu Kaisen's characters are just in a class of their own, and you're just going to
single one of them, by the way, every single character.
I mean, you're going to sit there and be like, "Oh, that's my favorite character." Oh, No, that's my that's my favorite character. That one's for no God. You won't be able to pick how like your favorite character because you just love all of them so much. And and like it also is exacerbated by the fact that the show is absurdly well animated again, and the fights are just so hype. And personally speaking, as an anime veteran, when I watch this show, I'm just like, how on earth did you get the budget and the animation, like bodies, like people to produce a show like this in a short amount of time? I have no idea, because like
usually
anime shows are
right. If the budget's there, then the story's like whatever, or the story's there, and then the budget leaves eventually, right? So,
it's crazy. And you know, the thing is that as an anime veteran, like shows like this are such a rarity that like a show can be so consistent in how high quality animation is. And so I just had to throw that out there.
and the art styles of this show are like the perfect darker tones. Like I love horror-esque looking things, so like anime and all that too. So it perfectly touches the color palettes and all that stuff, and it just aesthetically is very pleasing to watch. And so just like art wise, colors wise, everything's all there for me. And like Xell had mentioned, every character, they do such a good job with the characters that they're like, you know what, we got some extra like amazingness to sprinkle in the show. So they sprinkle it into the villains, and you love the villains too. Like it's kind of weird. Like the main core group of villains, you will like them too, because they give you a nice look at every character and what they do, like in like these weird day-to-days and like their interactions. And it's not like they needed, like they know how much time, like they perfectly, they don't need the scenes of interactions between characters to be long. They know exactly what to do in a scene and the way it's written to just make it so that even though those two characters interacted for 30 seconds, that's the best 30 seconds and usage of those two characters I've ever seen in my life. And like it's such a solid writing for a genre that kind of is known for having a lot of pointless scenes.
True.
So I think that's why I really value that.
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, you know, in this same genre of shows like Dragon Ball Z, right? Like, not exactly a lot of character depth, and not exactly the most, like, I don't know. Yeah, it's just not that deep.
Yeah.
It's not that deep, bro.
and I felt like there's just so many scenes. It's like, that could have been like edited out. That could have been like cut out. That could have been cut out. That's like, cut all of that out, right? And it goes the same with like pretty much this new school of shonens is really getting what people want. And it's faster resolving arcs, meaningful scenes. So shows like that, or like Fairy Tail, Naruto, Dragon Ball, all these shows have a lot of filler. And so this new school, I feel like every shonen has just progressively gotten better, right? Like at first it was My Hero, and then we saw Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer was like better than My Hero, right? And then eventually, and then Jujutsu Kaisen came out. And I feel like that's better than the others. And it's just,
I have no idea how it gets better than this. Honestly, I'm so
like
I'm curious.
What's the next step up then? Because they've hit every checkbox here. They've hit every checkbox. There's nothing that this show has done like that makes me upset or even slightly bothers me.
Yeah.
Actually, no, there is.
There fantastic.
It ends. That's like, as in like the episode is done, and that's even the opening intro and the outro songs are jams. Like it's planned out. Like it's every step of the way. Opening song, sick. Love the guitar work. Outro song, groovy and dancey as hell. So yeah, and it's so good.
Yeah, I will say the only hit on this one is, unlike some of the other shows that we've recommended, like this one is currently airing, like as in is expected to have more seasons. So if you end up binging it, you're gonna end up being like, oh, where are the more episodes? Well, more episodes are now coming out. So you're watching a show as it comes out, kind of like Demon Slayer. So yeah.
Yeah. But I think it's worth the wait so far. There has been even the one filler episode they did. The only reason why it was a filler was it was hilarious and it was perfectly used, and you know exactly which episode I'm talking about.
I do know.
So
it was a great one.
Yeah, which is rare. It's such a rarity. So I recommend this so hard. Like this is like the biggest one for me.
Yeah. So boom, that is our list, top to bottom. Cowboy Bebop, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, Violet Evergarden, Demon Slayer, One Punch Man, Haikyuu, Promised Neverland Season 1, Erased, Your Lie in April, Jujutsu Kaisen. Boom. That's our 10.
There isn't like any, by the way, we just want to clarify that list does not mean like, hey, I rank One Punch Man higher than this one. We just kind of did it in an order that we're just like kind of like.
Yeah. I think like all 10 of these are fantastic anime for anybody to pick up and watch. And we tried to give you guys some options for, different styles of things. And so if there's like a specific genre of thing that you think that we missed, like I would love to know, and we can give our take on like what we think in that genre would be good. Because honestly, the big debate for us was just like within the subcategories of like action anime, mystery anime, thriller. It was like, what do we want to put in there as like the representative? And it was so hard. And like,
because a lot of things bleed into the other categories, right? Like one of the ones that I really wanted on this list was Parasyte.
Yeah.
Which
I think is a great show. Yeah.
I think it is a wonderful show, and it is not a vampire story. So, which, by the way, like Xell has a whole explanation on that, and
it's a vampire story.
It blew my mind. So, there are shows that I think are definitely still really good on here, and we left some off because both of us didn't see it. So, example, I think a romance one that's really good, that's not really happy at all, really, ever, is Orange. Like, there's cute, wholesome moments, but like the premise of the show is still dark on its own, and it's a lot. It does, once again, content warning. It does like deal with suicide, and essentially, it's one of the main characters, right? Is he's depressed, and he constantly, no matter what they do, the group of friends and the love interest, it always ends with him dying. So they need to, a little bit like Erased, but this time, but thrown into a romance. So it's a very dark show, but very, very good. They eventually re-released the show, so make sure you don't watch the re-release, because they re-released it, but from somebody, the friend's perspective. And so they do two perspectives. You just got to watch the first run. I can't speak for the second run. And then I also think Parasyte is another, because I love horror-esque animes, and this felt like it had a lot more horror, right? And it kind of felt like watching like a creature feature, right? But a little bit of a sci-fi in there. And remember, not all sci-fis have to be in space. Like, it's just the fact that there's like some aliens and whatnot. It kind of felt like if you took Aliens, the movie by Ridley Scott and whatnot, and then you put it on Earth, and it has elements of that. And I thought it was great. It has some of the topics, or the things that we know about, like, oh well, it touches on the topics like, what is it to be human, right? And the aliens want to understand that, because the aliens come from like unbiased, just very objective look on life and on how life should be. So the main character fuses with an alien, so then he gets to juggle both parts, right? The alien half of him and the normal human half of him. So
just like a vampire story.
That's not a vampire story, dude. I don't even know how that's a vampire story. Like,
I'm just saying, vampire stories, they do the same exact thing. Oh, am I vampire or am I human? Oh, I must drink the blood of humans, but I am human. No, I'm a vampire. Oh.
Just
saying, sounds pretty similar to me.
What? Okay, all right.
I'm just saying, they sound pretty similar to me.
Okay, all right, sure. That's cool, dude.
But no, I love Parasyte as well. It's pretty hardcore in some of the sequences that happen.
Can get gory.
Yeah, but it has like the important essence of it, which is like, yeah, what does it mean to be human, and how do you hold on to your humanity, especially in times of great stress. So, yeah, I don't know. I love Parasyte, and also the opening song is like one of my favorite songs ever. So by a band, I actually discovered that band Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas through that show, and I fell in love with them. So
that was the most annoying intro song to me.
What? You hated that song?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I was not a fan of that song. And the intro music left me wanting a lot more. I skipped the intro every time. And And I think another one that we could also put on this list before Xell passes out is Horimiya. I know that we just did an episode talking about Horimiya, but it has got to be one of the best romances and / slice of lives I've seen in a very long time. So yeah, it definitely deserves praise. And I think Horimiya is one that if you're looking into romance, I mean, I guess we've both seen it, but the thing is, I think Your Lie in April's too good not to recommend, right? Like that is just way too moving of a show to not recommend. But at the same time, Horimiya, also very good. So
yeah, I think personally, Your Lie in April has a more standard plot, I guess I would say, like from a Western perspective, because Horimiya is a show kind of that floats a little bit, where it's kind of like the way I like to think of Horimiya is like, here's the timeline of what happens in the show, and the show kind of like drops in on the characters at different time periods. And so for some people that might be a little jarring, but I think it works really well because it's kind of episodic a little bit in that way. But yeah, Horimiya, great show, great sort of exploration into human relationships in general, like friendships and romantic relationships, and also romantic relationships past just like the chase, you know. And I think that's what's one of the special things about it.
Which is what we always
It's not
wanted.
an Adam Sandler movie, because Adam Sandler movies, it's always like, it's the chase, right? Like, Drew Barrymore, will you get together with Adam Sandler? Oh, I don't know. And then it ends with them getting together.
How many Adam Sandler movies have you seen that are romantic? I feel like so you watch 50 First Dates.
Yeah.
Did you watch Click? Because that one I did not.
That one was brutal.
I did not expect to cry in that one. I thought it was going to be funny.
I was devastated after that movie.
See,
I was devastated.
See, like for like those that didn't
actually, now that I think about it, most Adam Sandler movies aren't really that way, are they?
Yeah, like that. I was gonna say I only know 2 of Adam Sandler's movies. The rest are like Big Daddy, Happy Gilmore, and all this other stuff, right? So all comedies. But for the most part, you know what we're getting at. Lots of romance movies. You know, it ends with them happily ever after, and that's it, right? You don't see anything. They get together. The guy gets girl ends up with guy, whatever, right? And that's it. End of story. You don't see what happens after that. Horimiya shows you a little bit after that. And I think that's why it's so charming.
All right, I'm going to run through some of my sort of misses here, like just bare misses. So we actually mentioned it while we were talking about Jujutsu Kaisen. My Hero Academia. I think My Hero Academia definitely deserves a mention here. Like, it kind of is like the big holy trinity alongside Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen right now. It's a bright and happy show. It's like so different than Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen, where it's like the show is just very bright and bubbly, and it's just like it's feel good over and over, which might not be your jam, but like it definitely sets itself apart from some of the other big shonens right now because of it. And it's also really good, and the hype moments are genuinely so goddamn hype. Like I remember sitting there just like
I wanted to
crying,
rip my
not
shirt
because
off.
I was emotional. Yeah, it was just like I would be so overwhelmed, you know, and it was just like my eyes would tear up because I just felt like I was being pressed through emotions, you know,
yeah, right. Like you're feeling all these emotions, and it's just like because you're so motivated. Also, you're just like overwhelmed. You're like, yeah, I just like rip my shirt and jump through my window, or like kick through my wall or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Because I felt like I was like invincible. And it was the show does that. It's like if the show was like one of Steve Rogers' like battle like motivational speeches, and you just laid one on you, and now you're ready to do whatever. Like I felt, dude. I think I forgot which part it was, but without spoilers, yeah. Like I remember one of the arcs, it resolved, and seeing Deku progress, and that day I did so much. I got so much done. I was like fueled, dude.
Yeah, so if you need some motivation in your life, maybe My Hero's the one, because it definitely, oh man, when it kicks in gear, it kicks in gear, and you're on a spaceship ride for sure.
And
so
it's also lots of concepts that we already have right now, right? Like I mean, we have superheroes, very popular in the media right now, right? Marvel's dominating, and I mean, I believe, confirm this or not, and maybe you know also at home, Deadpool makes an appearance. And there's some kind of crossover with Deadpool and All Might. And so I heard about that.
Know.
So like, yeah, like, and I think it's not like it's unheard of, right? It's not far off. Because to be honest with you, you look at the way it's written too. My Hero is definitely meant to it was made to also be popular stateside, right? I mean, they even have All Might yelling Detroit Smash and stuff like that, and like, so you know what I mean? There's lots there for people to just kind of immediately click to, and it's superheroes. The powers are going to be a little bit different, than what you're used to, because some of these powers seem a little more memey than, let's just say, like Iron Man, Captain America, stuff like that. Although, not to say that these universes don't have Stilt Man and the Wizard. And those are really terrible powers. But yeah, so I think that's the cool thing, though. You'll get to see a lot of the powers that are on this show too, that are just kind of funny as hell.
Yeah, I think My Hero also. One of the great things about it is just how wide the cast is, and all the you'll just kind of like to get to know everybody, and everybody's really cool. So it's a great show if you like having a big cast of characters to follow along with.
Quick question though. So with how easily accessible the show is, right? And how I feel like we already love Marvel movies. Why not? Why did this slightly miss the list?
I think My Hero, in some ways, that Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen benefit from is that My Hero's run for longer than those two shows, and I think it's just sort of exposed some of its cracks along the way, and so I think the story sometimes pacing wise isn't as good as it can be. And I think some of the characters don't get as much development because it has a wide cast as much as Jujutsu Kaisen. I mean, Demon Slayer doesn't really have as much either, but
there's only 4 characters in Demon Slayer that you really care about anyway.
Yeah. And so for me, the fact that so I think Jujutsu Kaisen and Demon Slayer, I'm probably actually biased towards because they have less seasons out, but the seasons that they do have are just so fantastic. Because I was pretty hype on My Hero when it first came out too, and so
let's just say season 1 My Hero versus season 1 Jujutsu Kaisen, season 1 Demon Slayer, right?
Ooh, I guess Jujutsu Kaisen, I think actually tops. This is now just my personal opinion, not necessarily for new people or whatever, but Jujutsu Kaisen to me just stands out because how good the characters are. And so it's you have the great animation and you have the great stories or whatever, but then on top of that you have such amazing characters. Demon Slayer is a little different because for me what was so fun about it was the style of the animation that it has is just so unique in a way that you just never see that kind of animation in anime, where they incorporate 3D elements in such a beautiful way, the environments and everything. The show is so it throws you completely off because the axis at which it animates is just different. It's just different. And then with My Hero, it was kind of more run of the mill. Don't get me wrong, the animation is fantastic and stuff, but it's more run of the mill, and the characters are again a little more run of the mill. And so for me, it just has a little less to stand out on compared to the other two. So that's why, in my opinion, the other two shine a little bit more than My Hero. But My Hero is also great, so I don't know. This is really nitpicky.
If I were to I'm kind of right there with you. I think this show only slightly misses out but just by a hair. Right, it's just because hey, we can only pick one, and that's the only reason why. Right, it's not I wouldn't say all 3 of these. So, but if I were to say Jujutsu Kaisen still is the best, just like you had mentioned, and it hits everything as I've mentioned before, it hits every checkbox that we could ask for. Season 1 of My Hero and season 1 of Demon Slayer do suffer from the same thing. At the very middle, around episodes 13 to 17, maybe even more to 19. Kind of starts just kind of treading water there. It doesn't slows down and it stays idle right at the middle, and it feel like there wasn't enough going on there. Because at that point, I remember feeling that My Hero Academia was only slightly better paced, and that's why I think I might actually choose season 1 of My Hero Academia over season 1 of Demon Slayer.
Gotcha.
But it's by a hair.
I guess, wait, Demon Slayer first season, hold on.
If we're going by American seasons, which is 23, 24 episodes, right? Because
Demon Slayer only has 1 season, right?
Yeah,
so it's
correct.
just
just
okay.
Demon Slayer. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So around that time, it isn't a while later until there's a chunk of it, and just nothing happens. And I think
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, like nothing happens there. So that's why I think I would only have My Hero season 1 slightly edge out against season 1 of just Demon Slayer's only season. If I were to measure that. Both lose to Jujutsu Kaisen though, because Jujutsu Kaisen never loses steam. It stays awesome all the way through.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jujutsu Kaisen, personally speaking, is really good. I also think that Demon Slayer 2, one of the great things about it, and I think also My Hero 2 is, but especially Demon Slayer, is just the character designs are amazing in Demon Slayer. They're so amazing.
The best character.
Say what?
Zenitsu's the best character. I know. I said it earlier that I want the main character to not be crying. That's fine, because Tanjiro is not. But Zenitsu is the best character because he cries all the time. So
we're not gonna get into this episode. You guys watch it. Ask your normie friends what you think about him. I reserve my judgment here.
Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
We'll fight about this on an episode where we're not talking to people who haven't watched these things.
Let you know who the best character is. You may not have seen the show yet, but here is Zenitsu in all his glory. This, you can't, for the listeners, I am showing my Zenitsu Nendoroid that I probably spent an unnecessary amount of money on. So,
and this is why we took 2 hours before the podcast to just... Because Crim has ungodly taste in anime. Oh my god!
So you're calling it divine? Thank you.
No, ungodly. Ungodly. That's the opposite.
No, divine.
Opposite of divine.
Divine. Right? You meant divine.
Opposite.
No. You meant divine. Thank you.
Mortal.
Thank you.
Very mortal. Uneducated. Unrefined. Whatever.
Say what you want, dude. Can't hear you over my Zenitsu figurine. So whatever, dude.
God.
Whatever, dude.
Oh man.
You know what? This is the only thing you're gonna see now. I'm just gonna zoom in on my Zenitsu's face for the rest.
This podcast, anime was a mistake. You know what? Give up on anime. Anime is just a mistake. Don't watch anime.
Watch football.
It's horrible. You'll turn into someone like Crim, and the world is just a worse place.
Best boy. You must protect him.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly touch on some of the other anime that I really love that I think are also great entry points into anime. And also, when you watch these anime, because Crim disagreed with me on some of these or hasn't watched these, you'll actually ascend a little bit in taste, and you'll go to anime cons and be like, oh yeah, I love this anime, and people are going to be like, yo, this guy has dope taste in anime, unlike that guy Crim. So some of the anime that I wanted to quickly touch on. Another show, another sports anime that I really like. Dude, I just roasted you so hard there. Run with the Wind is another alternative to Haikyuu. I think it's great. It's also self-contained in 24 episodes. So if you don't want, Haikyuu is a little bit longer. So if 24 episodes more your thing, Run with the Wind is short and sweet. Vinland Saga is a show about Vikings, and I never gave a shit about Vikings, but this show made me give a shit about Vikings, and it's a great drama show, and has a lot of dope moments, and has some of the most interesting characters in general. Like, I could literally see this being like done in live action, like Game of Thrones style, but with better writing than Game of Thrones. For romance, oh god, what do you have over there? What is this? Oh my, you actually have oh my god, Crim.
What? Just keep going. Keep talking.
Oh god, it's so hard to keep going. Okay, I'm gonna just avert my eyes here. And then for a romance anime that's like a little more stereotypical in terms of romance, I think Toradora is great. It's like your very classical high school romance show, but it does it in a really, really good feeling way, in my opinion. And I just really like the show, and it kind of introduces people to the main tropes of romance animes in general. God, it is.
It's a good one, right?
And then last but not least, one of my favorite comedy anime that I really loved, and I'm just going off of the fact that I recommended this to some people who have not watched it and don't generally watch anime, but ended up loving it. Hinamatsuri That one's a show that's like very zany and out there, and so it might confuse some people, but I think it has a lot of like really, really great comedy moments. It has a lot of great heartfelt moments, and so want to mention that one as well.
And it'll do this exactly, because when I finished watching it, I went and got roe eggs.
No, yeah.
I just got that, and you'll understand that after you see it. That show is very good, though. Hinamatsuri is just a good time. It's such a joy. You'll fall in love with the male character. He's hilarious. What's up, dude?
I can't take you seriously in that Zenitsu cosplay.
I don't have it. What are you talking about? I just put on a coat. It's getting cold in summer.
All right, I think we're done here. Well, I'm over it.
What are you talking about? For those that are at home, I just went and got this little coat, or this little I don't know. It kind of looks like a character. I can't put.
You really dressed yourself up as like one of the worst characters in that show, but whatever.
I don't know, but it might look like Zenitsu's or something like. I'm not really sure though. It could be anything really. So.
Oh God. So also, if anybody has recommendations for new hosts, we'll be taking resumes over at Niisan Podcast at gmail.com. Send in your resumes. It really doesn't take much to have a better anime resume than Crim. So really, I think I'll take whoever I can get at this point.
Can't hear you, dude. I got my Zenitsu Nendo.
Oh, God. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this episode was helpful for anybody who wants to get into anime. And yeah, I don't know. Let me know. Recommend some of these to your friends. Tell us what they think, and also tell us what you guys think about our list as well. And if there's any shows that you think we missed, because I think we covered some of like the big ones, but I'm sure there are some other ones that that I think we missed. So.
I think the one thing here is like there's a list, right? There's like Cowboy Bebop, FMA. They're all on everyone's list, right? I think that because those just feels like those are auto includes. I'd love to discuss whether it's like, in our subreddit or wherever. What are some ones that should be included and just don't get enough recognition? Because I think there's definitely some underrated animes out there that could totally be recommended to people.
Oh, you said the cursed magical words, underrated.
Oh, underrated. Yes. Sorry. Well, you know what? Have a frenzy on that word underrated in the subreddit.
Yeah. So yeah, let us know. You guys can find our subreddit at reddit/r/Niisan podcast.
Hey.
And then Google us up on YouTube as well, because the podcasts are up there. And of course, we are also now on Spotify. So
and Podbean.
And Podbean. So let us know what other platforms you guys want to see us on. And thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. And God damn it, Crim, I really cannot take you seriously in that.
What
is that really your favorite character? Have you read the manga? Is there something I don't know?
You think I jokingly bought this?
Yeah, maybe you ironically bought that. You really like that character.
I haven't read the manga, so I get to enjoy what I see on the show.
And that's what you came out with.
Yo, you're just jealous because I'm not gonna spoil that part.
Okay, anyways, that's it, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you guys next time. All right, bye.